Sailor's only agreed to be a rich man's date for one night, desperate to pay for her mother's medicine. But when secrets, scandals, and sparks fly at a billionaire's birthday, one night threatens to change everything. Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The phone call came at the worst possible time. Seller Green was balancing a tray of dirty dishes in one hand while trying to take a customer's order with the other. Her curly hair was falling out of its bun, and she'd been on her feet for 6 hours straight at Millie's diner. "I can't talk now, Tasha," she said, tucking the phone between her ear and shoulder. "You have to listen," her friend insisted. "I need a huge favor, life or death." Seller rolled her eyes. "Last time you said that, you needed me to feed your cat for the weekend." "This is different," Tasha said. "I booked a +1 gig tonight, but I'm down with the flu. It pays $500, Seller. Cash." Seller nearly dropped her order pad. $500 was exactly what she needed for her mother's medication this month. "What's the catch?" she asked, lowering her voice as her manager walked by. "Just be some rich guy's date for his birthday party. Look pretty, make conversation, laugh at his jokes, that's it." "I don't know, Tasha." "Please, Sailor. The client is furious I'm cancelling. I could lose my whole side business." "And didn't you say your mum's insurance denied that prescription again?" Sailor closed her eyes. Her mother's lupus had been getting worse, and the new medication was their last hope. Insurance called it experimental. "Fine, text me the details, but just this once." 4 hours later, Seller stood in front of her tiny apartment mirror, barely recognizing herself. Tasha had dropped off a midnight blue dress that hugged her curves in ways her usual uniform never did. She'd freed her natural hair from its usual bun, letting the dark curls frame her face. "It's just one night," she told her reflection. "Just one night of pretending." Her mother called from the bedroom. "Seller, is that you talking to yourself again?" Seller smiled and walked to her mother's doorway. Diana Green was propped up against pillows, a book in her lap, looking far older than her 50 years. "Look at you," Diana whispered, "like a princess." "Hardly," Seller said, smoothing the borrowed dress, "just covering a shift for Tasha at a fancy party." "Well, you look beautiful." Her mother's eyes narrowed. "But why are you so dressed up for a waitressing job?" Seller hesitated. "It's a different kind of job, just for tonight." "Seller Marie Green, what exactly are you doing?" "Nothing bad, Mama. I promise. I'm just being someone's +1 at a party. His date couldn't make it." Diana frowned. "You're getting paid to pretend to be someone's girlfriend. That doesn't sound right." "It's not like that. I'm just arm candy for a rich guy who doesn't want to look lonely at his own party." Seller checked her phone. "The car is here. Mrs. Wilson from next door will check on you every hour." "I don't need checking on. I need you to be careful." Seller kissed her mother's forehead. "Always am. I'll be home before midnight, like Cinderella." "Cinderella didn't get paid," her mother called as Seller headed for the door. "That was her first mistake," Seller called back with a laugh. The car wasn't a car. It was a gleaming black limousine that looked wildly out of place in their modest neighborhood. The driver opened the door, and Seller slid into leather seats so soft they felt like butter. She read Tasha's text again. Grayson Vale, 30, CEO of Vale Enterprises. Birthday party at the Skyline. Be charming, but not flirty. He's known for being serious. Don't ask personal questions. Don't mention being hired. As far as anyone knows, you've been dating for 2 months. Seller took a deep breath. $500. Just smile and nod for a few hours. She could do this. The Skyline was Nashville's most exclusive hotel, its rooftop suite offering views that made the city look like a dream of twinkling lights. Seller's heart pounded as the elevator climbed 30 floors. The doors opened to reveal a party in full swing. Men in tailored suits, women dripping in jewelry, waiters carrying champagne on silver trays. She stepped out, suddenly feeling like an imposter. The dress might look expensive, but she wasn't. Her hands, despite the manicure Tasha had insisted on, still bore the calluses of someone who worked 2 jobs. "Are you lost?" The voice was deep, with a hint of amusement. Seller turned to find a tall man watching her, his expression unreadable. His dark hair was neatly combed, his suit clearly custom-made, but it was his eyes that caught her attention, gray like storm clouds, and just as turbulent. "I don't think so," she said, her mouth suddenly dry. "I'm looking for Grayson Vale." His eyebrows rose slightly. "You found him." This was her date? Tasha hadn't mentioned he would be so intense or handsome, in that brooding, distracted way that suggested he was thinking about a dozen things at once. "I'm Seller," she said, offering her hand. "Seller Green." He took it, his touch lingering. "You're not what I expected. Is that good or bad?" A hint of a smile touched his lips. "I haven't decided yet." An older woman in an emerald dress approached. "Grayson, darling, happy birthday." She air-kissed his cheeks before turning curious eyes to Selah. "And who is this lovely creature?" Grayson's hand found the small of Selah's back, the touch sending an unexpected warmth through her. "This is Selah Green, my date." "Your date?" The woman looked Selah up and down. "How refreshing. I'm Victoria Vale, Grayson's mother." "It's nice to meet you," Selah said, using her best customer service smile. And how did you two meet?" Victoria's voice was sweet, but her eyes were calculating. Selah froze. Tasha hadn't prepared her for this question. "At the hospital," Grayson said smoothly. "Selah's mother is a patient where I serve on the board." Selah looked at him in surprise. "How did he know about her mother?" "How charitable of you," Victoria said with a tight smile. "Do enjoy the party." As his mother walked away, Grayson leaned closer. "Sorry about that. My mother thinks I should be dating socialites, not regular people," Selah finished. "I was going to say people who don't care about my bank account." He guided her toward the bar. "What are you drinking?" "Just water for now. I like to keep my wits about me." He ordered a water and a whiskey. "Smart woman. So Tasha sent you?" Selah tensed. "I don't know what you mean." "Relax. The agency told me she was sick. I'm just glad they found a replacement." His eyes studied her face. "A very beautiful replacement." Selah felt herself blush. "So this is your birthday party?" "Technically, though it feels more like a business function." He gestured around the room. "Half these people work for me. The other half want something from me." "And which half am I in?" The question slipped out before she could stop it. Something flashed in his eyes, surprise, maybe even respect. "Neither, I hope." A waiter approached with appetizers. Selah took one, grateful for the distraction. "So, birthday boy," she said, "what does a man who can buy anything want for his special day?" He considered her question, swirling his whiskey. "Something real." "Real?" She laughed. "That's ironic, considering I'm being paid to be here." He didn't laugh back. "Maybe that makes you the most honest person in the room." For the next hour, Selah played her part perfectly. She let Grayson introduce her to business associates and friends. She laughed at the right moments, asked interested questions, touched his arm when appropriate. But something strange was happening. The line between pretending and simply being was starting to blur. Grayson wasn't what she expected. Behind the serious CEO facade was a man who actually listened when she spoke, who seemed genuinely interested in her answers, who kept finding reasons to touch her, a hand at her waist, fingers brushing hers when passing a drink. "Tell me about your mother," he said when they found a quiet moment on the balcony. Selah blinked. "How did you know about her? Is that in some file Tasha keeps?" "No. I saw your face when I mentioned the hospital. It wasn't just surprise. It was concern." He leaned against the railing. "I'm good at reading people." Selah hesitated, then decided on the truth. "She has lupus. It's getting worse, and the new treatment is expensive." "Is that why you took this job tonight?" She looked away. "We do what we have to do." "I respect that." He was quiet for a moment. "My father died when I was 12. Brain aneurysm. No warning. One day he was there. The next." He shrugged. "That's why I serve on the hospital board, trying to make sure other families have better outcomes." Selah studied him, surprised by the personal revelation. "I'm sorry about your father. It was a long time ago." He checked his watch. "We should go back in. They'll be bringing out the cake soon." As they returned to the party, a waiter handed Selah a glass of champagne. Grayson's hand remained at the small of her back, warm and steady. "You're very good at this," he murmured in her ear. "Making everyone believe you're actually enjoying yourself." "Who says I'm not?" she replied, surprising herself with the honesty. He looked at her curiously, as if seeing her for the first time. Whatever he was about to say was interrupted by a commotion at the entrance to the suite. A stunning blonde in a red dress that looked painted on was arguing with security. "Don't you know who I am? I'm Vanessa Mitchell, Grayson's girlfriend." The room fell silent. Selah felt Grayson stiffen beside her. "Ex-girlfriend," he corrected, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Very ex." Vanessa spotted them and stalked over, her face twisted with anger. "So it's true. You replaced me already." Her eyes raked over Selah. "With this?" "That's enough, Vanessa," Grayson said, his voice cold. "You weren't invited. I saw the pictures on social media. Your big birthday bash." Vanessa's gaze fixed on Selah again. "What did he promise you, honey? A car, an apartment? That's his usual routine." Selah felt herself flush. He didn't promise me anything. Of course not, because you're just tonight's entertainment, right? Vanessa laughed, the sound like breaking glass. Did you know he hired her, everyone? She's a paid date. A wave of whispers swept through the crowd. Selah felt dozens of eyes on her, judging, assuming. That's not, Grayson began, but Vanessa cut him off. Check her purse. I bet she has a contract. How much is he paying you, sweetheart? Is it worth your dignity? Selah looked at Grayson, waiting for him to deny it, to defend her. But he just stood there, jaw clenched, saying nothing. Shame washed over her. What was she doing here, pretending to belong in this world? She set down her champagne glass carefully. Excuse me, she said quietly, and walked toward the elevator, head high despite the burning in her eyes. Selah, wait, Grayson called, finally finding his voice. But the elevator doors were already closing, sealing her away from the glittering party and the man who had, for a few hours, made her forget she was just playing a part. In the lobby, she pulled out her phone to call a ride, but her hands were shaking too much to use the app. A tear splashed onto the screen. Miss Green! She turned to find an older man in a chauffeur's uniform. The car is ready whenever you are. Did Mr. Vale send you? She asked, wiping her cheek. I'm instructed to take you wherever you need to go. $500. That's what this night was worth. Selah straightened her borrowed dress. Take me home, please. As the limousine pulled away from the skyline, rain began to fall, streaking the windows and blurring the city lights. Selah stared out at Nashville, wondering how a fake date with a stranger could leave her feeling so genuinely heartbroken. In her purse, her phone buzzed with a text message. Unknown number. I'm sorry, that wasn't supposed to happen. Please let me explain. Selah turned off her phone and closed her eyes, letting the rhythm of the rain drown out the echo of Vanessa's mocking laughter and the memory of Grayson's silence when it mattered most. Tomorrow she would go back to her real life, double shifts at the diner, nights studying for her nursing degree, mornings helping her mother with physical therapy. The fairy tale was over, but as the car stopped in front of her apartment building, the driver handed her an envelope. Mr. Vale asked me to give you this. Inside was the promised cash and a handwritten note. The only fake thing about tonight was how it ended. Everything else was real. Selah tucked the note into her purse along with the money. Real or not, some things were better left as one-night memories. She had no idea that fate and Grayson Vale had other plans. Morning light filtered through the thin curtains of Selah's apartment. She'd barely slept, her mind replaying the humiliation of the previous night. The borrowed dress hung on her closet door, a reminder of a world she didn't belong in. Selah, are you up? Her mother's voice called from the next room. Selah rolled out of bed, splashed water on her face, and forced a smile before heading to her mother's bedroom. Diana Green was already sitting up, her medication organized in little cups on the bedside table. Morning, Mama, Selah said, leaning down to kiss her cheek. How are you feeling today? Better than you look, Diana replied, studying her daughter's face. Rough night? Selah busied herself arranging pillows. Just tired. Double shift today at the diner, then class tonight. And how was that fancy party? It was educational. Selah handed her mother the first round of pills. I learned rich people's problems aren't that different from ours, just more expensive. Diana swallowed her medication. And the birthday boy? What was he like? Selah hesitated. Complicated. Men usually are. Diana patted her hand. Now, what are you not telling me? Before Selah could answer, her phone rang. The screen displayed unknown caller. Her heart skipped, remembering the text from last night. Aren't you going to answer that? Her mother asked. It's probably a telemarketer. Selah silenced the phone. Let me get your breakfast. In the kitchen, Selah prepared oatmeal while checking the calendar on the refrigerator. Doctor's appointment on Wednesday. Rent due Friday. Electric bill marked with a red star. Final notice. She pulled out the envelope from last night, counting the bills again. $500 would cover the medicine, but not much else. Maybe she could pick up an extra shift this weekend. Her phone buzzed with a text message. This is Grayson Vale. Please call me, it's important. Selah set the phone down as if it had burned her. How did he get her number? Tasha must have shared her contact information with the agency. Another message appeared. I'm outside your building. Selah nearly dropped the bowl of oatmeal. She rushed to the window and peered through the blinds. Sure enough, a sleek black car was parked across the street. Not the limousine from last night. This was smaller, less ostentatious. As she watched, the driver's door opened and Grayson Vale stepped out. He wasn't wearing a suit today, just jeans and a grey sweater that matched his eyes. His hair was slightly tousled, as if he hadn't bothered to comb it. He looked up at her building, seeming uncertain. Sayla's phone buzzed again. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Who keeps texting you? Her mother's voice made her jump. No one, Sayla said, moving away from the window. Just work stuff. Diana raised an eyebrow. Since when does work stuff make you blush? Sayla touched her cheeks, surprised to find them warm. I'm not blushing, it's hot in here. And I'm the Queen of England. Diana nodded toward the window. Go see what he wants. Who says it's a he? The way you're acting, go on, I can feed myself. Sayla hesitated, then grabbed her keys. 5 minutes. That's it. She didn't bother changing out of her sleep shorts and faded Nashville Community College t-shirt. Let him see the real her. No borrowed dresses, no makeup, no pretending. The morning air was cool and damp from last night's rain. Grayson was standing next to his car, hands in his pockets. When he saw her, something flickered across his face. Relief, maybe. You're here, he said. I live here. Sayla crossed her arms. How did you find my address? The car service. I know I shouldn't have, but I needed to apologize in person. He looked tired, with shadows under his eyes. About last night. You don't need to apologize, Sayla interrupted. It was a job, I got paid, end of story. Is that what you think? That it was just a transaction? Wasn't it? She looked away. You hired a date. I played the part. Then your ex showed up and revealed the truth, nothing to apologize for. I should have defended you, he said quietly. When Vanessa started making those accusations, I froze. By the time I found my voice, you were gone. A neighbor walked by with a dog, giving them a curious look. Sayla shifted uncomfortably. Look, it doesn't matter. We're from different worlds, Mr. Vale. Last night made that pretty clear. Grayson, he corrected. And I think it does matter, because for a few hours last night, those different worlds didn't seem so far apart. Sayla felt her resolve weakening. She remembered how it felt when he listened to her, really listened, on that balcony. The way his hand had felt against her back, protective, not possessive. What do you want from me? She finally asked. A second chance, a real date, no payments, no pretending. He took a step closer. Have dinner with me tonight. I can't. I have class until 9, then I need to check on my mom. Tomorrow then. Double shift at the diner. Wednesday? My mother has a doctor's appointment. Sayla sighed. Look, my life isn't like yours. I don't have time for dating. I barely have time to sleep. Grayson studied her face. Your mother's treatment. Is it at Nashville General? The question caught her off guard. Yes. Why? I meant what I said last night. I'm on the hospital board. He hesitated. I could make some calls. See if there's a specialist who... No. Sayla's voice was firm. I don't want your charity. It's not charity. It is to me. She turned to go. Goodbye, Mr. Vale. At least take my number, he called after her. In case you change your mind. Sayla kept walking, her back straight, her heart pounding. She didn't need his help. She'd been taking care of her mother for years. They would manage, just like they always had. Back in the apartment, Diana was waiting expectantly. Well, who was it? No one important, Sayla lied, avoiding her mother's knowing gaze. Just someone from last night's party. The complicated birthday boy? I need to get ready for work, Sayla said, changing the subject. Mrs. Wilson will be here at noon to help with lunch. As she changed into her waitress uniform, Sayla tried to push Grayson Vale out of her mind. Men like him didn't belong in her world, and women like her, women who worked double shifts and counted pennies, certainly didn't belong in his. The diner was busier than usual for a Sunday. Sayla moved between tables, refilling coffee cups, taking orders, smiling through her exhaustion. By mid-afternoon, her feet were aching and she still had 4 hours left on her shift. Order up for table 7. Hank, the cook, called through the service window. Sayla loaded her tray with plates of meatloaf and mashed potatoes. As she turned toward table 7, she froze. Grayson Vale was sitting in the booth studying the laminated menu. He'd changed into a button-down shirt, but still no suit. He looked ridiculously out of place among the truck drivers and factory workers who made up the diner's usual clientele. Sayla delivered the food to the next table, then approached him, heart racing. What are you doing here? He looked up, a smile warming his eyes. Having lunch. This place has great reviews online. We both know that's not why you're here. Fine. He set down the menu. You wouldn't agree to dinner, so I brought myself to you. Sayla glanced around nervously. My manager will kill me if he thinks I'm socializing instead of working. Then take my order. Grayson leaned back. What's good here? Everything's good if you're hungry enough, she replied, pulling out her order pad. The special is meatloaf. I'll have that. And coffee. Black. Seller scribbled down his order, aware of his eyes on her. Anything else? Yes. Tell me when your break is. I don't get one. We're short-staffed. Everyone gets a break, Seller. It's the law. She sighed. 15 minutes at 4, but I usually use it to call and check on my mum. I'll be quick, he promised. For the next hour, Seller tried to ignore him, but she found herself glancing over, watching as he ate the meatloaf without complaint. Even though it was probably nothing like the gourmet food he was used to, he left a generous tip for a coffee refill, making the other waitress, Becky, raise her eyebrows at Sailor. Who's the hottie making eyes at you? Becky whispered as they passed in the kitchen. Just a customer, Sailor replied, loading plates onto her tray. Honey, men who look like that don't just show up at Millie's diner by accident. At 4 o'clock, Sailor reluctantly slid into the booth across from Grayson. 15 minutes, starting now. He pushed a small white bag across the table. First, this is for your mother. Sailor opened the bag cautiously. Inside was a box of premium chocolates, the kind sold at the fancy shop downtown. My mother can't have these. Too much sugar with her medication. They're sugar-free, made with monk fruit sweetener. He shrugged at her surprised look. I did some research on lupus this morning. Sailor felt a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the coffee she'd been drinking all day. That's thoughtful. Second, he placed a folder on the table. This is information about a clinical trial at Nashville General, new treatment for lupus. The hospital's looking for participants. Sailor's eyes widened. Are you serious? Completely. The trial is fully funded. No cost to patients. He tapped the folder. All the details are in there, including the name of the lead researcher. I've already spoken to him about your mother's case. You had no right to do that, Sailor said, but there was no anger in her voice. Probably not, he agreed. But sometimes doing the right thing means overstepping boundaries. Sailor stared at the folder, hope and suspicion warring inside her. Why are you doing this? Grayson was quiet for a moment. When I was 12, my father collapsed at breakfast. Brain aneurysm. By lunch, he was gone. His fingers traced the rim of his coffee cup. My mother had the money for the best doctors, the best hospitals. It didn't matter. Sometimes money isn't enough. I'm sorry, Sailor said softly. Don't be. It was a long time ago. His eyes met hers. But it taught me something. We don't always get to choose how much time we have with the people we love, so we should make the most of whatever time we get. The diner's bell jingled as new customers entered. Sailor knew she should get back to work, but she couldn't look away from Grayson's face. The clinical trial starts in 2 weeks, he continued. Your mother would need to be evaluated first. I can arrange it. I don't know what to say. Say you'll have dinner with me, one real date. Sailor hesitated. My mother. I'll send a nurse to stay with her. The best in Nashville. He leaned forward. One dinner, Sailor. Just you and me. No pretending. Before she could answer, Becky appeared at the table. Sailor, the manager's looking for you. Break's over. Sailor nodded, gathering the folder and chocolates. I have to go. You didn't answer my question, Grayson said, standing as she did. Sailor bit her lip. I'll think about it. That evening, after her shift ended, Sailor sat with her mother in their small living room, explaining about the clinical trial. Diana listened carefully, her eyes growing brighter with each detail. And this treatment could help the joint pain? She asked. That's what it says here. Sailor pointed to a paragraph in the folder. It's been showing promising results in early testing. It sounds too good to be true. Diana studied her daughter's face. And this all came from your complicated birthday boy? Sailor nodded, unable to meet her mother's eyes. He must like you an awful lot. He's just being nice, Mama. Men like that don't do nice without a reason. Diana touched her daughter's hand. And chocolates too? Sugar-free, no less. Sailor smiled despite herself. He did his research. Smart man. Diana unwrapped one of the chocolates and took a small bite. Rich man with good taste too. It doesn't matter. We're too different. How do you know if you won't give him a chance? Sailor sighed. Even if I wanted to, which I'm not saying I do, when would I have time to date? Between work and school and taking care of you, I'm not an invalid, Sailor Green. I can manage for one evening. Diana popped the rest of the chocolate in her mouth. Besides, Mrs. Wilson's daughter is a nurse. I'm sure she'd be happy to earn some extra money sitting with me. Mama, are you actually encouraging me to go out with him? I'm encouraging you to live your life. Diana's voice softened. You've put everything on hold for me. Your degree, Your social life. It's not right. I don't mind, Sailor insisted. Well, I do. Diana pointed to the folder. If this treatment works, I'll need you less. And then, what will you do with all that free time and energy you've been pouring into me? Sailor hadn't thought about it that way. The idea of her mother getting better, really better, was something she hardly dared to hope for. Call him, Diana said firmly. Tell him yes to dinner, and yes to the clinical trial. Later that night, after her mother had gone to bed, Sailor sat on the fire escape outside her window staring at her phone. Grayson's number was still in her messages. With a deep breath, she typed, "About that dinner. Is Wednesday night still an option?" The response came almost immediately. "For you, any night is an option. Wednesday is perfect. I'll pick you up at 7. After my mother's appointment," she clarified. "Might be closer to 8. 8 it is. Wear something comfortable. Nothing fancy." Sailor smiled to herself. "That's all I own anyway. Then you'll be perfect." She stared at his last message for a long time, a strange fluttering in her stomach. What was she doing? Men like Grayson Vale didn't date women like her, not really, not for long. But as she climbed back into her apartment, she found herself wondering what it would be like to spend an evening with him. Not as a hired date, but as herself. Just Sailor Green, waitress and nursing student, daughter of Diana, woman with dreams bigger than her bank account. Wednesday seemed very far away. The next 2 days passed in a blur of work, classes and preparations for her mother's appointment. Sailor tried not to think about Grayson, but he kept appearing, sometimes, literally. On Monday, a delivery arrived at the diner, lunch for the entire staff, courtesy of a satisfied customer. On Tuesday, a package came to the apartment, a cashmere throw blanket for her mother, with a note that read simply, "For the hospital. It gets cold in those rooms." By Wednesday morning, Sailor was a bundle of nerves. The appointment at Nashville General was scheduled for 2 p.m. She had arranged to miss her afternoon class, explaining the situation to her professor. Grayson had offered to send a car, but Sailor insisted on taking the bus with her mother. She didn't want Diana to think they were accepting charity. But when they arrived at the hospital, they were greeted by name at the reception desk and escorted to a private waiting area. The evaluation was thorough, the doctors attentive. Diana was treated like a VIP, not a charity case. "Your daughter tells me you've been managing lupus for 8 years, said Dr. Harmon, the lead researcher. "The records from your previous doctor show a consistent progression of symptoms." Diana nodded. "The good days are fewer now, and the pain is worse. This new treatment protocol has shown remarkable results in reducing inflammation and joint pain." Dr. Harmon showed them slides of before and after blood work. "We can't promise a cure, but we believe we can significantly improve your quality of life." Sailor squeezed her mother's hand. "And the side effects? Minimal in our early trials. Some fatigue, occasional headaches." He smiled reassuringly. "We monitor participants very closely." As they were reviewing the consent forms, there was a knock at the door. Grayson Vale stepped in, looking every inch the hospital board member in a charcoal suit. "I hope I'm not interrupting," he said. Sailor felt her face grow warm. "Grayson, I didn't expect to see you here. Mr. Vale has been instrumental in securing funding for our research," Dr. Harmon explained, shaking Grayson's hand. Diana looked between her daughter and Grayson with newfound interest. "So you're the birthday boy?" Grayson smiled, the expression transforming his serious face. "And you must be Diana Green. It's a pleasure to meet you." "Likewise," Diana said, studying him openly. "My daughter didn't mention how handsome you are." "Mama!" Sailor felt her blush deepen. "What?" "I'm sick, not blind." Diana turned back to Grayson. "Thank you for telling her about this trial. It means a lot to us. I'm just glad I could help." His eyes met Sailor's briefly. "Dr. Harmon is the real hero here. His research is groundbreaking." The doctor beamed. "With supporters like Mr. Vale, we can do even more. Now, Mrs. Green, if you're comfortable proceeding, we'd like to run some baseline tests today." "Will it take long?" Sailor asked, checking her watch. "We need to catch the 5:30 bus." "No need," Grayson said. "I've arranged for a car to take you home whenever you're ready." "That's not necessary," Sailor began. "Please," he interrupted gently. "Let me do this." Diana patted her daughter's arm. "Let him do this, Sailor. My old bones would appreciate not having to stand at the bus stop." The testing took nearly 2 hours. Sailor stayed by her mother's side, holding her hand through blood draws and explaining forms. Grayson had disappeared shortly after their introduction, saying he had a board meeting to attend. By the time they were finished, Diana was tired but hopeful. "Dr. Harmon thinks I'm a good candidate," she said as they waited for the car. "The trial starts next week." "It's amazing, Mama. Sela hugged her gently. I can't believe this is happening. Believe it. Diana nodded toward the hospital entrance, where Grayson was walking toward them. And I think you have him to thank. Grayson had changed from his suit into dark jeans and a blue button-down shirt. He looked more relaxed, more like the man who had stood outside their apartment 2 days ago. How did everything go? He asked. Very well, Diana answered. They're accepting me into the trial. That's wonderful news. His smile seemed genuinely pleased. The car is here to take you home, Mrs. Green. Diana, please. She glanced between him and Sela. And aren't you joining us? Actually, he said, looking at Sela, I was hoping to steal your daughter for dinner, as promised. Sela's eyes widened. Now? But I'm not dressed for... You look perfect, he said, his eyes warm. Just as you are. Diana nudged her daughter. Go. I'll be fine with the driver. Mrs. Wilson is expecting me anyway. Are you sure? Sela asked, suddenly nervous. Positive. Diana smiled at Grayson. Take good care of my girl. She deserves a night off. As the car pulled away with her mother inside, Sela turned to Grayson. I should at least change clothes. Why? You said yourself you don't own anything fancy. His eyes twinkled. Besides, where we're going, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. And where is that exactly? He offered his arm. It's a surprise. Do you trust me? Sela hesitated only a moment before slipping her hand through his arm. I guess I'm about to find out. As they walked toward his car, the setting sun bathed Nashville in golden light. For the first time in years, Sela felt something she'd almost forgotten, a sense of possibility, of doors opening instead of closing. And somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered that maybe, just maybe, this night with Grayson Vale would be the beginning of something neither of them had expected to find. Grayson's car wasn't the flashy sports car Sela had expected. Instead, it was a modest black SUV, expensive but not ostentatious. This is yours, she asked, as he opened the passenger door for her. Disappointed? He smiled. Were you expecting something red and Italian? Maybe. Sela slid into the leather seat. It seems more practical than I imagined you'd drive. I save the impractical cars for impressing people I don't care about. Grayson got in beside her. With you, I don't need to impress. Just be honest. The comment caught her off guard. Sela watched as he navigated through downtown Nashville, his profile illuminated by the dashboard lights. In jeans and a button-down shirt, he looked younger, more approachable than the stern businessman from the birthday party. So where are we going? She asked. Hungry? He glanced over. You've been at the hospital all day. You must be starving. Her stomach growled on cue and she laughed. I guess that answers your question. I know a place. Nothing fancy, but the food is incredible. 20 minutes later, Grayson pulled into the parking lot of a small brick building with a neon sign that read Rosie's. It looked like a local joint, the kind of place that had been serving the same menu for decades. This is not what I expected, Sela said as they walked toward the entrance. What did you expect? Candlelight and champagne? Something like that. He held the door open. We can do that another time. Tonight, I want you to be comfortable. Inside, Rosie's was warm and inviting. Checkered tablecloths covered wooden tables, and the walls were decorated with vintage photos of Nashville. The delicious smell of home cooking filled the air. A heavy-set woman in her 60s approached them, her face lighting up when she saw Grayson. Well, look what the cat dragged in. Grayson Vale, it's been too long. Hello, Rosie. Grayson accepted the woman's enthusiastic hug. Is my usual table available? For you? Always. Rosie turned her attention to Sela, giving her an appraising look. And who's this lovely young lady? This is Sela Green. Sela, this is Rosie Thompson. She makes the best fried chicken in Tennessee. In the whole South, Rosie corrected with a wink. Come on, honey, I'll seat you two in the back corner, more private. As they followed Rosie through the restaurant, several patrons nodded to Grayson or called his name. He greeted each one, asking about families and jobs with what seemed like genuine interest. You come here often, Sela observed after they were seated. My father used to bring me here when I was a kid. Grayson unfolded his napkin. After business meetings or baseball games, it was our place. And after he died, I stopped coming for a while. It hurt too much. He looked around the restaurant. But a few years ago, I drove by and saw they were closing down. Couldn't let that happen. So I helped Rosie refinance, get some renovations done. You bought the place? No, just made sure Rosie could keep it. He shrugged. She pays me back by always keeping my table ready. Rosie returned with 2 glasses of sweet tea. Now what'll you have, the usual, Grayson? Yes, please. He looked at Sela. Trust me to order for both of us? Normally, Sela would bristle at a man presuming to order for her, but something in Grayson's expression, a mixture of excitement and hope, made her nod. 2 fried chicken specials, he told Rosie, and a side of those biscuits with honey butter. After Rosie left, Sela took a sip of her tea. So, all these people know you, but they treat you like just a regular guy. Here, that's what I am. Grayson leaned back. Just the kid who used to come in with his dad, not the CEO or the name in the business pages. Is that why you brought me here? So I'd see you as a regular guy? His eyes met hers. I brought you here because the food is amazing, and because I thought you might appreciate a place where no one's pretending to be something they're not. Sela felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the restaurant's temperature. Thank you, it's perfect. Their food arrived, golden fried chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, collard greens, and the promised biscuits with honey butter. The first bite made Sela close her eyes in appreciation. Oh my God, she murmured. This is incredible. Grayson smiled, watching her enjoy the food. Told you. As they ate, conversation flowed more easily than Sela had expected. He asked about her nursing studies, listening intently as she described her dream of working in pediatric care. Why pediatrics, he asked. Kids are resilient. Even when they're really sick, they still find joy. Sela smiled. And they're honest. If they don't like you, you know it right away. Unlike adults, who smile to your face and stab you in the back. Speaking from experience? Grayson's expression turned thoughtful. In my world, people usually want something. Money, connections, status. It's hard to know who to trust. Is that why you hired a date for your birthday? Easier than finding someone genuine. He winced. I deserve that. But for the record, I didn't hire you. My assistant did, after my mother insisted I bring someone to the party. Why not bring a real date? Because I don't date much. Work keeps me busy. The infamous workaholic CEO, Sela teased. It's a bit of a cliché, isn't it? Probably, he admitted. But it's not just work. After a few bad experiences, I stopped making the effort. Bad experiences like Vanessa. His face darkened. She's one example. We dated for 6 months. I thought it was getting serious. Then, I overheard her on the phone, telling a friend she was this close to getting a ring and a 7-figure settlement. That's awful, Sela said, genuinely sympathetic. It happens. When you have money, you're never quite sure if people want you or what you can give them. His eyes met hers. That's why that night at the party was so unexpected. Because I was paid to be there, Sela asked, confused. Because even though you were paid to be there, you were real. You asked questions and actually listened to the answers. You didn't laugh at my jokes because you thought you should. You treated me like a person, not a bank account. Sela felt her cheeks warm. I was just being myself. Exactly. Grayson reached across the table, his fingers lightly touching hers. That's what made it special. The moment was interrupted by Rosie bringing dessert. 2 slices of homemade peach cobbler with vanilla ice cream melting on top. On the house, she announced. It's not every day Grayson brings a girl to our place. After Rosie left, Sela raised an eyebrow. Not every day. This is the first time, he admitted. Ever. The significance of that statement hung between them as they enjoyed the cobbler. Sela found herself studying Grayson's face, the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled, the small scar near his left eyebrow, the hint of stubble along his jaw. What? He asked, catching her gaze. Just trying to figure you out, she replied honestly. The CEO who eats at a down-home restaurant, the guy who sends fancy chocolates but drives a practical car, the man who can arrange specialized medical care with a phone call but gets nervous on a dinner date. Is it that obvious? He laughed. Only to someone who's paying attention. Sela set down her spoon. Why me, Grayson? After that disaster at your party, why come looking for me? He considered her question, his expression serious. Because when you left, something felt unfinished, like a story that was just getting to the good part when someone tore out the remaining pages. That's poetic for a businessman. I contain multitudes, he said with a small smile. The truth is, I couldn't stop thinking about you. About what might have happened if Vanessa hadn't shown up, if you had been there as yourself, not as someone I hired. We'll never know, Sela said softly. We could find out. His eyes held hers. This is our do-over, Sela. No pretending, no roles to play. Just you and me seeing where this goes. After dinner, they walked around the neighborhood, the evening air cool but pleasant. Sela told him more about her mother, about growing up with a parent whose health was constantly in flux. Grayson shared stories of his father, memories he said he rarely discussed with anyone. He sounds like he was a good man, Sela said. He was. Tough, but fair. Always made time for me, even when work was crazy. Grayson looked up at the stars. He's the reason I push myself so hard. I want to make him proud. I think he would be, Sela said. Not just of what you've built, but of who you are. Grayson looked at her then, something vulnerable in his expression. "You say that like you know me." "I'm starting to," she replied. They returned to the car and Grayson drove her home. The ride was quiet, but comfortable. When they arrived at her apartment building, he walked her to the door. "Thank you for tonight," Sela said, keys in hand. "It was not what I expected." "Better or worse?" he asked, standing close enough that she could smell his cologne. "Different. Good different." She smiled. "I had a nice time." "Nice enough to do it again?" Sela hesitated. Despite the wonderful evening, doubts crept back in. "Grayson, I don't know if this makes sense. Our lives are so different. They don't have to be." He took her hand. "I'm not asking for promises, Sela. Just a chance, another dinner, maybe a movie. My schedule is crazy, between work, school, and now my mother's treatments. I understand busy. Trust me." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "We'll figure it out, if you want to." The question hung in the air between them. Did she want to? This man who had walked into her life through the strangest of circumstances, who had already done so much for her mother, who looked at her like she was something precious. Did she want to see where this might lead? "Yes," she said finally. "I'd like that." The smile that lit up his face made her heart skip. He leaned forward, his intentions clear. Sela felt herself holding her breath as his lips touched hers, gentle at first, then with growing confidence as she responded. It wasn't a passionate embrace or a dramatic movie kiss. It was something simpler, more honest, a first step into unknown territory. When they pulled apart, Grayson tucked a curl behind her ear. "I'll call you tomorrow." "I'll answer," she promised. Sela watched him walk back to his car, a strange mix of excitement and fear swirling inside her. This wasn't part of her plan. She didn't have time for romance, especially not with someone whose life was so fundamentally different from hers. Yet as she entered her apartment, she couldn't stop smiling. Her mother was still awake, watching television in the living room. "Well, look who's finally home," Diana said, muting the TV. "How was your date?" "It was..." Sela searched for the right word. "Nice." "Nice? That's all I get?" Diana patted the couch beside her. "Come sit. Tell me everything." Sela kicked off her shoes and curled up next to her mother. "He took me to this little restaurant called Rosie's. Nothing fancy, just really good food. And everyone there knew him. Not what you expected from a millionaire, huh? Billionaire, I think," Sela corrected. "But no, he's different when he's not trying to be the big CEO." "Good different or bad different?" "Good," Sela smiled. "Definitely good." Diana studied her daughter's face. "You like him?" "Maybe. I don't know, it's complicated. Love usually is." "Whoa," Sela said, sitting up straight. "Who said anything about love? It was one date, Mama." Diana smiled knowingly. One date that has you glowing like I haven't seen in years. It's just nice to be seen," Sela admitted. "Not as a waitress or a caregiver or a student, just as me." "That boy sees you," Diana said firmly. "I could tell from the way he looked at you at the hospital." That wasn't the look of someone who just wants a pretty date on his arm. Sela felt her cheeks warm. "We're taking it slow, getting to know each other." "Smart." Diana yawned. "Now help your old mother to bed. I need my rest before the big day tomorrow." "Big day?" "First treatment in the clinical trial." Diana stood slowly. "I have a good feeling about this, Sela. Like things are finally turning around for us." As Sela helped her mother get ready for bed, she found herself thinking the same thing. For years, it had been one struggle after another. Bills piling up, her mother's health declining, her own dreams repeatedly deferred. But now, somehow, a door had opened, a possibility of something better. The next morning, Sela woke to a text message from Grayson. "Good morning. Just checking that your mother is still on for her first treatment today. The car will be there at 10. She texted back, "We'll be ready. Thank you again for all of this." His response came quickly. "No thanks needed. How about dinner Friday after your shift?" Sela smiled at her phone. "I smell like French fries after work. I like French fries. Is that a yes?" "Yes, but I'm buying this time. We'll negotiate." Sela set her phone down, still smiling, and went to wake her mother. Diana was already up, moving around the kitchen with more energy than Sela had seen in months. "Someone's in a good mood," Sela observed. "It's a big day," Diana replied, pouring coffee, "and I hear my daughter has a date on Friday." Sela blinked. How did you— These walls are thin, baby, and you giggle when you text him. Diana handed her a mug. It's nice to hear you laugh again. The car arrived precisely at 10 a.m., not a limousine, but a comfortable sedan with a professional driver. At the hospital, they were greeted by Dr. Harmon's team and escorted to the treatment area. The first session takes about 3 hours, the nurse explained as she helped Diana into a reclining chair. You might feel tired afterward, but most patients tolerate it well. Selah sat beside her mother, holding her hand as the IV was inserted. I'll be right here the whole time. Actually, Diana said, I brought a book and my headphones. You should go to class. No sense missing another day on my account. Mama, I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. Your future is just as important as my health. Diana squeezed her hand. Go, learn something. I'll text if I need you. Reluctantly, Selah agreed. She kissed her mother's cheek, left her cell number with the nurses, and headed to campus for her afternoon classes. It felt strange to be away during such an important moment, but also liberating. For the first time in years, she wasn't carrying the entire weight of her mother's care alone. In her nursing ethics class, Selah found it hard to concentrate. Her mind kept drifting between concern for her mother and memories of last night's kiss. She was so distracted that she didn't notice the professor calling her name until the student beside her nudged her. Ms. Green, perhaps you'd like to share your thoughts on the case study? Professor Jenkins asked, one eyebrow raised. I'm sorry, Selah said, flushing. Could you repeat the question? After class, she checked her phone. No messages from her mother, but a text from Grayson. Just checked with the hospital. Your mother's doing great. First treatment going smoothly. The knot in Selah's stomach loosened. She texted back, thank you for checking. In class now. We'll head back to the hospital after. When Selah arrived at the treatment center, she found her mother chatting animatedly with a nurse. Diana looked tired but energized in a way Selah hadn't seen in months. There she is, Diana called. My daughter, the future nurse. The nurse smiled. Your mother's been telling me all about your studies. You're almost finished with your program. One more semester, Selah confirmed, leaning down to kiss her mother's cheek. How are you feeling, Mama? Tired, but good. Diana patted her arm. Dr. Harmon says everything went perfectly. I might be his star patient. She did wonderfully, the doctor confirmed, approaching with a tablet in hand. The blood work shows promising initial responses. Of course, it's early days yet. As they were preparing to leave, Grayson appeared in the doorway, a small gift bag in hand. He was back in business attire, navy suit, crisp white shirt, blue tie that matched his eyes. I hope I'm not interrupting, he said. Diana brightened. Not at all. Come in, come in. Selah felt suddenly shy, remembering their kiss from the night before. Hi. I didn't know you were coming by. Board meeting ran long. Thought I'd check in before heading back to the office. He handed the gift bag to Diana. Just a little something to celebrate your first treatment. Diana peered inside and pulled out a beautiful silk scarf in shades of purple and blue. Oh my, this is gorgeous. Purple is the color for lupus awareness, Grayson explained, and the blue reminded me of Selah's dress the night we met. Selah felt her heart flutter at the thoughtfulness of the gesture. Diana immediately wrapped the scarf around her shoulders, modeling it proudly. You have excellent taste, young man, she declared, and perfect timing. We were just about to head home. May I offer you a ride? Grayson asked. Absolutely, Diana said before Selah could object. These old bones would appreciate your comfortable car over the bus. In the parking lot, Grayson led them to a different vehicle than the one from the previous night, a luxury sedan with a driver waiting beside it. Company car, he explained, seeing Selah's look, comes with the position. The drive to their apartment was filled with Diana's animated chatter about the treatment, the hospital staff, and her hopes for improvement. Grayson listened attentively, asking informed questions that impressed Selah. When they arrived, Diana announced, Selah, why don't you walk Grayson up? I can manage with the driver's help. Mama, don't mama me. I'm not an invalid. Diana winked at Grayson. Just a mother who knows when to make herself scarce. Selah felt her cheeks burn as she walked Grayson to the building entrance. Sorry about that. She's not usually so direct. I like her, Grayson said, smiling. She reminds me of you. Same determination. She's much bolder than I am. I don't know about that. It takes a certain boldness to agree to dinner with the man whose ex-girlfriend humiliated you in public. Selah laughed. Maybe I'm just reckless. Or forgiving. His expression grew serious. I'm still sorry about that night. It's in the past, she said. We're starting fresh, remember? Speaking of which, he took her hand. I'm looking forward to Friday. Me too. Selah hesitated, then stood on tiptoe to kiss his cheek. "Thank you for the scarf, it was thoughtful. Your mother deserves nice things." His eyes held hers. "So do you." From the car, Diana honked the horn lightly. "Some of us are tired from medical treatments," she called, but her voice was teasing. Grayson chuckled. "I should go. Call me later." "I will," Selah promised. She watched as he helped her mother from the car to the building entrance, the two of them chatting like old friends. It was surreal, this powerful businessman caring about their small lives, inserting himself into their world with a gentleness she hadn't expected. Later that evening, after Diana had gone to bed, Selah called Grayson as promised. Their conversation lasted nearly 2 hours, covering everything from childhood memories to favorite books to professional ambitions. "I should let you go," she said finally, stifling a yawn. "Early shift tomorrow." "One more question," he said. "What are you afraid of, Selah?" The unexpected question made her pause. "What do you mean?" "Everyone's afraid of something. I'm curious what scares you." Selah considered her answer carefully. "Losing my mother, not finishing my degree, ending up stuck in a life that's too small for my dreams." She hesitated. "And maybe getting my heart broken by someone who realizes I don't fit in his world." The line was quiet for a moment. Then Grayson spoke, his voice soft. "What if it's not about fitting into my world or yours? What if it's about creating a new one together?" The question followed Selah into her dreams that night, whispering of possibilities she'd never dared to imagine. The next few weeks fell into a new rhythm. Diana's treatments continued with promising results. She had more energy, less pain, and a renewed optimism that brightened their small apartment. Selah and Grayson found time for each other despite their busy schedules. Dinner after her shifts, coffee between his meetings, weekend mornings when she wasn't in class. They discovered a shared love of old movies, spicy food, and thunderstorms. He never pressured her to attend fancy events or meet his business associates. Instead, he seemed content to exist in her world, eating at the diner where she worked, helping her study for exams, even assembling a bookshelf for her mother's growing collection of novels. One rainy Sunday, a month after their first real date, Grayson appeared at her door with takeout and a worried expression. "What's wrong?" Selah asked, letting him in. He set the food on the counter. "I have to go to London. Board meeting for our international division. I'll be gone for 2 weeks." "Oh." Selah tried to hide her disappointment. "When do you leave?" "Tomorrow morning." He ran a hand through his hair. "I meant to tell you earlier, but things have been chaotic with the merger negotiations." "It's fine. You have a company to run." Selah began unpacking the food containers. "We'll talk when you get back." Grayson caught her hand. "I'll miss you." The simple declaration made her heart twist. "I'll miss you too." "Come with me." Selah blinked. "What?" "To London. I can get you a ticket on my flight. The company has an apartment there. Your mother is doing well with the treatments. It would just be for 2 weeks. The words tumbled out in a rush. "I know it's impulsive, but I don't want to go that long without seeing you." Selah stared at him. "Grayson, I can't just drop everything and fly to London. I have classes, work, my mother. You could take a leave from the diner. Your professors could email assignments. And your mother has been encouraging you to live your life." He stepped closer. "Think about it. London, Selah. Museums, parks, history. We could see it together." The offer was tempting, more than tempting. But Selah shook her head. "I can't. It's too much, too fast." Disappointment flickered across his face, but he nodded. "I understand. Do you?" she asked quietly. "This is the difference between our worlds, Grayson. You can make impulsive decisions, take spontaneous trips. I can't. Every hour I work, every class I attend, every dollar I save, it all matters." "I know that," he touched her cheek, "and I respect it. I just wanted more time with you." "We'll have time when you get back," she promised. They spent the evening together, watching old movies on her small TV, her head on his shoulder. But something had shifted, a reminder of the fundamental differences in their lives that no amount of connection could erase. When he left that night, their goodbye kiss felt heavier, weighted with things unsaid. Selah watched from the window as his car pulled away, wondering if she'd made the right choice. The next 2 weeks crawled by. Grayson called when he could, the time difference making their conversations brief and sometimes interrupted. He sent her photos of London, rainy streets, historic buildings, a bookstore he thought she'd love. Selah threw herself into work and school, trying not to count the days until his return. Her mother noticed her distraction. "You miss him," Diana observed one evening as they ate dinner. "It's only 2 weeks," Selah replied, pushing food around her plate. And how many times have you checked your phone in the last hour? Selah smiled despite herself. Too many. That boy has it bad for you, Diana said. And I think the feeling's mutual. It's complicated, Mama. Only because you make it complicated. Diana set down her fork. You've spent your life taking care of me, putting your dreams on hold. Now there's a man who wants to give you the world, and you're afraid to take it. I'm not afraid, Selah protested. I'm practical. Grayson and I come from different places, want different things. Do you? Or are you just assuming? Diana reached for her daughter's hand. All I know is in the 30 years I was married to your father, I never once regretted choosing love over practical, not even when times were hard. Selah considered her mother's words long after Diana had gone to bed. Was she letting fear disguise itself as practicality? Was she sabotaging something real because she was afraid it couldn't last? The night before Grayson was due to return, Selah worked a double shift at the diner. She was exhausted, her feet aching when she finally locked up at midnight. The walk to the bus stop felt longer than usual. As she approached, she noticed someone sitting on the bench, illuminated by the street lamp. Her steps slowed as recognition dawned. Grayson stood as she approached, his suit rumpled from travel, his eyes tired but bright. "Hi. You're back early," she said, heart pounding. "Couldn't wait another day." He moved toward her. "I missed you too much." "So you came to my bus stop at midnight?" "I went to your apartment first. Your mother said you were working late." He looked sheepish. "I may have bribed her with chocolates for information." Selah laughed, the sound dispelling the tension of the past 2 weeks. "She's easily bought. Worth every penny." He closed the distance between them, hands gentle on her waist. "I thought about you every day." "Me too," she admitted. "I brought you something from London." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "It's not what you think," he added quickly, seeing her expression. "Just open it." Inside was a delicate silver pendant, a small key on a thin chain. "It's beautiful," she said, lifting it from the box. "It's from a little shop in Notting Hill." Grayson took the necklace and moved behind her to fasten it around her neck. The shopkeeper said keys symbolize new beginnings, doors opening. Selah touched the pendant resting against her collarbone. "Thank you." "There's something else." Grayson turned her to face him. "While I was away, I did a lot of thinking. About us. About what you said before I left." "Grayson, let me finish. You were right. Our worlds are different. I can make impulsive decisions that you can't. I have freedoms you don't." His hands framed her face. "But that doesn't mean we can't build something together. On your terms, at your pace." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I love you, Selah Green." The words hung in the night air between them. "I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But it's true, and I'm willing to wait as long as it takes for you to be ready for whatever comes next." Selah felt tears prick her eyes. "You can't just say things like that at a bus stop in the middle of the night." "Why not?" He smiled. "It's where you are, and that's where I want to be." The bus approached, its headlights illuminating them in the darkness. Selah made a decision, not impulsive, but certain. "I love you too," she said, the words freeing something inside her. "And I'm scared of what that means. But I want to find out." The bus stopped beside them, doors opening with a hiss. Grayson glanced at it, then back at her. "What now?" Selah took his hand. "Now you take me home." "Your home or mine?" he asked, eyes twinkling. "Yours," she decided, "just for tonight." As the bus pulled away without them, Grayson pulled her close. His kiss tasted of promises and possibilities, of doors opening and new beginnings. The key pendant rested against Selah's heart, a reminder that sometimes the greatest risk was not in loving too much, but in loving too little out of fear. And as they walked hand in hand toward his waiting car, Selah realized that maybe, just maybe, their different worlds weren't so far apart after all. The morning sun filtered through unfamiliar curtains, waking Selah gently. For a moment she was disoriented. The bed was too soft, the sheets too smooth, the room too large to be her small apartment bedroom. Then she felt Grayson's arm around her waist, his breathing steady against her back, and remembered. She had stayed the night at his penthouse, falling asleep in his arms after hours of conversation. Nothing more had happened. They both wanted to take things slowly, but sharing a bed, feeling his heartbeat against her shoulder, had created an intimacy that left her both terrified and exhilarated. Carefully, she turned to look at him. In sleep, the serious businessman disappeared, replaced by a man who looked younger, more vulnerable. His dark hair was tousled, his face relaxed, one hand tucked under his pillow. Selah couldn't help but smile. How had this happened? A month ago, she was a struggling nursing student and waitress, focused only on her mother's health and making ends meet. Now she was waking up in a penthouse with a man who said he loved her, a man she loved back, against all logic and reason. Grayson's eyes fluttered open, finding hers immediately. "Good morning," he murmured, voice rough with sleep. "Morning," she replied, suddenly shy. He reached out, tucking a curl behind her ear. "Tell me what you're thinking right now." "That this feels like a dream." She traced the line of his jaw with her finger. "And I'm afraid I'll wake up." "Not a dream." He caught her hand, pressed a kiss to her palm. "Though I had plenty of those while I was in London, all starring you." Sela felt herself blush. "Smooth talker. Only with you." He propped himself up on one elbow. "Any regrets about last night? About staying here?" "No." She shook her head. "But I should call my mother." "She'll be worried." "Already taken care of?" At her questioning look, he explained, "I texted her from the car last night, told her you were safe with me and I'd bring you home this morning." "You texted my mother?" "We've been in regular contact since the clinical trial started." He looked slightly guilty. "She sends me updates about her treatment. I make sure she has everything she needs." Behind my back, Sela wasn't sure whether to be touched or annoyed. At her insistence, "She didn't want you to feel like charity." Grayson sat up against the headboard. "She's a proud woman, like her daughter." Sela smiled despite herself. "You two seem to have gotten pretty friendly. We have a common interest." He brushed his knuckles against her cheek. "Your happiness." "Grayson Vale, you are dangerously good with words. Years of business negotiations." He grinned. "Now, how about breakfast? I make a mean omelette." They spent the morning in his spacious kitchen, Grayson cooking while Sela perched on a stool, watching him move confidently around the space. She had expected his home to be cold, impersonal, all glass and chrome, like something from a magazine. Instead, it was warm and inviting with comfortable furniture, bookshelves filled with well-read volumes, and photographs of his family displayed prominently. "You look surprised," he observed, sliding a perfect omelette onto her plate. "I expected something more pretentious. I was going to say formal," she laughed. "This place feels like a home, not a showroom." "My mother tried to convince me to hire a decorator." Grayson sat beside her at the counter. "I refused. I wanted a place that felt like me, not a statement about my bank account." As they ate, Sela noticed the way Grayson kept glancing at her, as if making sure she was still there. It made something warm unfurl in her chest, the knowledge that this powerful man, who commanded boardrooms and managed billions, seemed almost disbelieving of his good fortune to have her in his kitchen. After breakfast, he drove her home in his SUV, their hands intertwined on the console between them. The morning was bright and clear, Nashville coming alive around them. "Can I see you tonight?" he asked as they neared her apartment. "I know you have class, but maybe after." "I should study." "Midterms next week." Sela squeezed his hand. "But I could use a study partner." "I'm excellent at holding flashcards," he said with mock seriousness. When they arrived, Diana was waiting in the living room, a knowing smile on her face as they entered. She looked better than she had in months, her complexion brighter, her movements less stiff. "Well, well," she said, eyeing their joined hands. "Look who finally came home." "Mama," Sela began, "it's not what it looks like." Diana laughed. "Honey, it's exactly what it looks like, and it's about time." She winked at Grayson. "Thank you for the text last night. Saved me from calling hospitals." "My pleasure, Diana." Grayson's tone was warm, familiar. "You're looking well today." "Feeling well too. These treatments are working miracles." She gestured to the kitchen. "I've made coffee if you'd like some." "Actually, I should get going. Board meeting in an hour." He turned to Sela. 7 o'clock? I'll bring dinner." "Perfect," she replied, already looking forward to seeing him again. After Grayson left, Diana fixed her daughter with an appraising look. "So, things are serious." "I stayed at his place, Mama. I didn't agree to marry him. Yet." Diana sipped her coffee with a smug expression. "That man is in love with you, Sela. Anyone with eyes can see it." "He said as much last night," Sela admitted, sitting beside her mother. And I said it back." Diana clapped her hands together. "I knew it. Oh, baby girl, I'm so happy for you. It's still new, Mama, and complicated. Love is always complicated. Doesn't make it any less worth it." Diana took her daughter's hand. "Now tell me everything, and don't leave out the good parts." The next few weeks passed in a blur of happiness. Sela's midterms went well, thanks in part to Grayson's patient help with studying. Diana's health continued to improve with each treatment, her energy returning, her pain diminishing. And Seller's relationship with Grayson deepened, each day revealing new aspects of the man behind the CEO title. She learned that he was a terrible singer, but loved music, that he could quote Shakespeare from memory, but preferred detective novels, that he did the New York Times crossword every Sunday morning, and always called his mother on Wednesdays, no matter how busy he was. In turn, she shared parts of herself she'd kept hidden, her dream of someday opening a clinic for underserved communities, her secret talent for drawing, her fear that she'd never be enough for someone like him. Someone like me, he'd asked, puzzled. What does that mean? They were sitting on his balcony, the lights of Nashville spread before them like stars. Selah struggled to articulate her fears. You know, sophisticated, worldly, rich. Grayson had laughed, not unkindly. Selah, I grew up in Nashville. My idea of sophistication is knowing which fork to use at fancy dinners, a skill my father's assistant taught me when I was 16. I'm just a man who got lucky in business and unlucky in love. Until you. One evening, Selah arrived at Grayson's penthouse to find him pacing nervously, his phone pressed to his ear. Yes, I understand, but surely there's another option, he was saying, his voice tense. The potential is enormous if we just… I see. Yes. I'll be there first thing tomorrow. He ended the call with a heavy sigh, running a hand through his hair before noticing Selah in the doorway. Everything okay? She asked, setting down her bag. Not really. He moved to kiss her hello, but his mind was clearly elsewhere. The European merger is falling apart. I need to fly to Paris tomorrow to salvage the deal. For how long? A week. Maybe more. He took her hands. I'm sorry. I know we had plans this weekend. Selah squeezed his fingers. It's your job, Grayson, I understand. Come with me. The words tumbled out quickly. To Paris. You've never been to Europe, and it's beautiful this time of year. Grayson, we've been through this. I can't just drop everything. Why not? His eyes were intense. Your semester's over. The diner manager already said you could take time off. Your mother is doing well with the treatments. It's not that simple. It can be. He pulled her close. Selah, I want to share my world with you. The good parts, not just the stress and late-night calls. Paris, London, Rome, all the places I've seen alone that I'd love to experience through your eyes. Selah felt torn. The idea was tempting, more than tempting, but something held her back. What would I do while you're in meetings all day? Explore, visit museums, sit in cafes and people watch. He smiled. And at night we'd have dinner by the Seine, walk along the Champs-Élysées, watch the Eiffel Tower light up. It sounded like a dream, but dreams weren't real life. I don't even have a passport, she said, grasping for practical objections. I have connections at the State Department. We could expedite it. Of course you do, she murmured, pulling away slightly. Grayson sensed her withdrawal. What's really going on, Selah? This isn't about logistics. She sighed, moving to the balcony for air. It's about balance, Grayson. You can snap your fingers and make things happen. Passports, plane tickets, hotel reservations. Your world moves at a different speed than mine. And that's a problem? It could be. She turned to face him. What happens when the novelty wears off? When you realize I don't fit into board meetings and charity galas? Understanding dawned in his eyes. You think this is temporary, that I'll get tired of you. Wouldn't you? We come from different places, want different things. Do we? He stepped closer. What do you want, Selah, beyond the day-to-day? What's your dream? The question caught her off guard. She thought about it, trying to articulate the vague yearnings she'd kept tucked away. I want to finish my degree, become a nurse. Maybe eventually open that clinic I told you about for people who can't afford care. She hesitated. I want my mother to be healthy. I want to not be afraid all the time. Afraid of what? Losing everything. Being one emergency away from disaster. She looked up at him. What do you want? Grayson didn't hesitate. You. A life with you. Children someday. Work that matters. The chance to make a difference. He touched her face. None of that requires you to change who you are or what you want. But Paris is just a city. We can go or not go. It doesn't change how I feel about you. His expression was earnest. I'm not asking you to abandon your dreams, Selah. I'm asking if there's room in them for me. The question lingered between them, profound in its simplicity. Was there room in her dreams for him? Could she imagine a future where their different worlds merged into one shared vision? I need to think, she said finally. Grayson nodded, respecting her honesty. Take all the time you need. My flight's not until tomorrow afternoon. That night, Selah went home to her apartment, her mind whirling with thoughts. Her mother was already asleep, so she sat alone in the kitchen, a cup of tea growing cold before her. What was she really afraid of? That Grayson would change his mind? Or that she would become someone who depended on wealth and privilege, forgetting where she came from? Her phone buzzed with a text from Grayson. "Whatever you decide about Paris, I love you. That won't change." The simple message brought tears to her eyes. In the months since they'd met, he had never pressured her, never made her feel less than equal. He had respected her independence while offering support. He had loved her family as his own. Sela made her decision. The next morning, she arrived at Grayson's penthouse with a small suitcase. He opened the door, surprise evident on his face. "I need to get a passport," she said by way of greeting, "and something appropriate to wear in Paris." The smile that broke across his face was like sunrise. "Really?" "Really." She set down her suitcase. "But I have conditions." "Name them." He pulled her inside, closing the door behind her. "I pay my own way for everything non-business related." Grayson started to object, but she held up a hand. "I know I can't match your spending, but I have savings. It matters to me to contribute." She took a breath. "Second, while we're there, I want to visit some hospitals or clinics. See how healthcare works in France." "Done. Anything else?" "Yes." She stepped closer. "I want you to know that I'm not going because it's Paris. I'm going because it's you, because I love you, and because I'm tired of being afraid of good things." Grayson pulled her into his arms, his kiss full of promise and joy. When they separated, he rested his forehead against hers. "I have something for you. I was going to wait, but now seems right." He led her to the living room and retrieved a small box from his desk drawer. It wasn't a ring box, it was larger, like for a bracelet. "This isn't a proposal," he clarified, seeing her expression. "Not yet. That will come when we're both ready." He handed her the box. "But it is a promise." Inside was a delicate gold bracelet with a single charm, a tiny key that matched the necklace he had given her after returning from London. "It's beautiful," she whispered, touching it with her fingertip. "The key from your necklace opens doors," he explained, taking the bracelet and fastening it around her wrist. "This one is about building what's behind them. Together." Sela felt tears prick her eyes. "You really have thought this through. Every day since I met you." He kissed her wrist where the bracelet rested. "I know we come from different worlds, Sela, but that's our strength, not our weakness. You keep me grounded. Remind me what really matters." "And you?" she asked, voice soft. "I hope I remind you that dreams can come true, that good things aren't just for other people." Later that day, after a flurry of phone calls and arrangements, they sat in the back of a car headed to the airport. Sela's newly expedited passport was in her purse, her mother's blessing was in her heart, and Grayson's hand was warm in hers. As the Nashville skyline receded behind them, Sela felt a weight lifting, the burden of fear and doubt she'd carried for so long, the belief that happiness was always temporary, that good fortune would inevitably be followed by loss. "Second thoughts?" Grayson asked, noticing her quiet contemplation. "No," she replied truthfully. "Just thinking about how strange life is. If Tasha hadn't gotten sick that night, if you hadn't hired a date for your birthday, we'd have found each other somehow," he said with certainty. "Some things are meant to be." Sela had never believed in fate or destiny. Life had taught her that survival depended on hard work and careful planning, not wishful thinking. But sitting beside this man who had crashed into her world and rearranged everything, she found herself reconsidering. Perhaps some meetings were written in the stars. Perhaps some loves were inevitable, drawing two souls together across different worlds and circumstances. Or perhaps it was simpler than that. Perhaps love was a choice, made new each day, with eyes wide open, aware of the risks, but brave enough to take them anyway. 6 months later, Sela stood in the garden of Grayson's family home, surrounded by flowers and twinkling lights. Diana, now in remission thanks to the clinical trial, sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Beside her was Victoria Vale, Grayson's mother, who had gradually warmed to the idea of her son marrying a regular girl. The wedding was small, intimate, just family and close friends. Tasha was there, having long since recovered from her flu, taking credit for making the match of the century. Rosie from the restaurant had catered the reception, insisting on doing it as her gift to the couple. Sela wore a simple white dress, elegant but not extravagant. Around her neck hung the key pendant Grayson had given her after London. On her wrist was the bracelet with its matching charm, and on her finger was the engagement ring he had presented to her in Paris, on their last night there, at a small cafe away from the tourist areas. As she walked toward Grayson, who waited beneath an arch of white roses, Selah thought about the journey that had brought them here, from a borrowed dress and a fake date to this moment, real, true, and entirely their own. Grayson's eyes never left her face as she approached. In them she saw everything she had ever wanted but been afraid to wish for: love, respect, partnership, a future built together, brick by brick. When she reached him, he took her hands in his. "You look beautiful," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. "So do you," she replied, smiling at his slight blush. The minister began the ceremony, but Selah barely heard the words. She was lost in Grayson's gaze, in the journey that had brought them to this moment. It hadn't always been easy. There had been adjustments on both sides. She had learned to accept generosity without feeling diminished. He had learned that some problems couldn't be solved with money or connections. Together, they had built something new, not her world or his, but theirs. When it came time for their vows, Grayson spoke first. "Selah, when you walked into my birthday party that night, I thought you were just going to be a temporary solution to a social obligation. I had no idea you would become my whole heart." His voice was steady, his eyes never leaving hers. "You saw past the wealth and the position to the man underneath, the one who was lonely without realizing it, the one who had everything except what matters most." He squeezed her hands. "I promise to love you every day, to respect your independence, to support your dreams as my own. I promise to remember that the most valuable things in life can't be bought. They can only be earned through love, trust, and time. And I promise that no matter what challenges we face, I will face them with you, beside you, never ahead or behind." Tears welled in Selah's eyes as she began her own vows. "Grayson, I came into your life for one night, just a temporary presence at your side. I never expected to find a permanent place in your heart." She smiled through her tears. "You taught me that it's okay to accept help, to lean on someone else, to believe in possibilities I was too afraid to imagine." She touched the key pendant at her throat. "I promise to keep opening doors with you, to new adventures, new challenges, new joys. I promise to remind you of what's real and true when the world gets too complicated. I promise to love you not for what you can give me, but for who you are, the man who found me at a bus stop at midnight, just to tell me he missed me." Their kiss, when the minister pronounced them husband and wife, was a promise sealed, a new beginning, a door opened to a shared future neither could have imagined that first night. At the reception, as they danced beneath the stars, Grayson held her close. "Happy?" he asked, his breath warm against her ear. "More than I ever thought possible," she replied honestly. "Any regrets about marrying a complicated millionaire?" Selah laughed. "Billionaire," she corrected. "And no regrets." "Good," he spun her gently. "Because I have plans for us, Mrs. Vale." "Do tell, Mr. Vale." His eyes grew serious. "The hospital board approved our proposal, funding for the community clinic you wanted to start. They're allocating space in the East Wing, staff, equipment, everything you need." Selah stopped dancing, staring at him in shock. "Are you serious?" "Completely. It was the board's wedding gift to us." He smiled at her stunned expression. "You'll run it, of course, once you finish your degree next month." "Grayson, I don't know what to say." Tears threatened again. "This has been my dream for so long." "I know." He brushed a tear from her cheek. "And now it's our dream. Together." As the music continued around them, Selah thought about the night that had started it all. A reluctant agreement to be someone's plus one, a borrowed dress, a heavy heart. Just for tonight, she had told herself then. Just one night of pretending. But sometimes one night was all it took to change everything. One night to open a door that led to a lifetime. One night to discover that love didn't care about different worlds or backgrounds or bank accounts. It only cared about two hearts finding each other across a crowded room, recognizing something real amidst all the pretending, and holding on, no matter what. Later that night, as fireworks exploded overhead and their guests cheered, Grayson pulled Selah into a quiet corner of the garden. "I have one more surprise," he said, his expression a mixture of nervousness and excitement. "Grayson Vale, if you tell me you bought me a hospital, I might faint," she teased. He laughed. "Nothing that extravagant. It's about your mother." Selah's smile faded. "What about her? Is something wrong?" "No, quite the opposite." He took her hands. "Dr. Harmon called this morning. The latest test results show no disease activity. None. Your mother's lupus is in complete remission." Selah felt her knees weaken. Grayson steadied her, his arms strong around her waist. That's not possible." she whispered. Lupus doesn't go into complete remission, according to Dr. Harmon. It's rare but not unheard of. The treatment protocol worked better than anyone expected. His eyes shone with happiness for her. He wants to write a paper about her case, with her permission, of course. Sela buried her face in his chest, overwhelmed. Her mother's health, the clinic, this man who loved her. It was more good fortune than she had ever dared to hope for. "Hey," Grayson said softly, tilting her chin up. "Remember what you told me once? About being tired of being afraid of good things?" She nodded, unable to speak through the emotion tightening her throat. "This is your life now, Sailor Vale. Good things, one after another." He kissed her gently. "Get used to it." As they rejoined the celebration, Sela caught sight of her mother dancing with one of Grayson's uncles, laughing and moving with an ease she hadn't shown in years. Diana caught her daughter's eye and gave her a thumbs up, mouthing, "I love you." Sela returned the gesture, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. From across the room, Grayson watched her, his expression one of pure adoration. Once, she had been a woman who didn't believe in fairy tales, who thought happy endings were for other people, who had agreed to pretend for just one night. Now she was a woman who knew better, who understood that the most magical stories weren't fairy tales at all. They were real lives, with real challenges and real joys, built day by day with courage and love. And as Grayson returned to her side, his hand finding hers with the ease of perfect belonging, Sela knew one thing for certain. Some things that began as just for tonight were meant to last forever. And this love, this life, this man, was one of them.